I feel like I'm a titleist.
Biz talk.
Chill, don't do that to me.
Biz talk.
You know I love a good bean. I'm a titleist, Damien Escobar. Who the fuck are you?
Facts.
That's heat.
It's heat.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you that I've known you for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a long, long time, and I've traveled around the world with you. You know, and I've been very, very blessed. Like blessed on too many levels, honestly, to be able to like see somebody who looks like me from a place that I'm from excel. You know, how scary is your success to you?
I thought you was about to propose to me.
Nah, you're not my type.
It says
You're not my type.
travel around the world with you.
You're not my type. Your finger's too fat anyway.
Stupid. How scary is success to me?
No, not scary is success. How scary has your success been to you?
Very scary up until recently. I used to be, and the thing is, we don't realize how afraid we are about success because I didn't even know what was happening, right? So I just went through this whole transition in my life over the past almost 8 months now, right? So prior to this transition, I wasn't aware of a lot of things around me and who I was as a human being and the people I had around me. I wasn't aware of none of it. In my career, I noticed that I started just settling for things, right? So when you're working on your career and you're on the way up and you get to a certain level, people use the word stagnant.
Yeah.
And it's not really the proper word to use because the thing that stops people is fear. Afraid to rise even higher because you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know what, I always wanted to go to the moon,
Yeah.
but now I'm halfway to the moon and I can see it. Like it's really close and it scares the shit out of me that it's really close. So I remember that feeling in that moment and I stopped doing a lot of things that I did consistently to get me to the point where I was selling out theaters like the World Trade. I just stopped. Like I stopped releasing music, I stopped engaging fans because I was afraid to get more. You know what I'm saying? So
What do you mean when you say afraid to get more?
the trajectory, imagine going, and you was with me, imagine going the year before, driving around the colleges where nobody's paying attention.
Right.
And then a year later, people are paying to see you in concert, right? You go from selling 500 seats in February to finishing off the year selling 2,000 in LA.
And that's what I really want to get into with this question is having had like the proximity I've had to it, my perspective is very different.
Sure.
And so I can ask this question because I can almost understand your answer to the question because it's not a question. And I've watched you do many TV shows and they always ask you these superficial surface level shit, and they point at things like I watched Letterman talk to Jay-Z yesterday, right? And he asked him,
I want to see that.
It's good, but then he hits him with this like, so tell me about selling crack. And I'm like, come on,
Yeah,
Letterman,
bro.
that was $1 billion ago.
Facts. Yeah.
When are we gonna stop asking that man about selling crack? So for you, I don't feel like anyone really gets into the seed that became the tree that is the Damien Escobar forest, if you will. So when you go from being in Southside Jamaica, Queens, when you go from being kicked out of school, for the people that know better, that know the story, if not, Google it, it's all over YouTube, to go from there to be sitting here astute in this well-fitting gray turtleneck, does it scare you?
No, not anymore.
Do you feel like this is supposed to be your life?
I do now. But the thing is, if you would have asked me that question last year, the answer would have been no, because I didn't feel like it was real for me. You know what I'm saying? Because what happens is, aside from music, right? Aside from the music and the fans and the pressure you feel from fans that rely on you, there's an immediate pressure from the people that's around you because what you do supports them as well. So there's that immediate pressure where it's like shit. And when you realize that, it's like, I can't stop doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Because the minute I stop doing what I'm doing, I'm gonna let down a lot of people. And then if I let down a lot of people, I'm letting down them and their families. Then you have everybody coming out of the woodworks wanting something from you.
Yeah.
Everybody wants something, they got their hand out. And then as a human being, your natural reaction to that is like, damn, I want to go back to when things were normal. Because there's a difference, there's a difference when you're hungry when you're proving yourself, right?
Right.
But when you become a proven entity, everything changes for you. Like everything shifts for you. Like the world kind of shifts and it becomes now like, What do you mean? Like, I don't have to introduce myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it becomes so different, and that shit is scary, man. And then you're dealing with that component, then you're dealing with all the pressure from everyone around you, where you're like, I just want to go when things were really simple. And for me, last year was a crazy year for me, and it was the greatest year of my life at the same time. You know, I'm gonna be 32, and last year was the greatest year of my life at the same time, because I had to go back to being an infant. I had to go back to being an infant, and I had to recreate who I was. I had to recreate purpose. I had to redefine purpose, and I had to rebuild as a human being and figure out what's important to me, right? Is it making all the money? Is it being world famous? Is it proving something to someone with the violin, right? Like, I never acknowledged my achievements. I'm like, nah, I want more. I want something else. Fuck that. Like, I want more.
I worry if you would, I don't think you've ever been given the proper amount of time to acknowledge your achievement. You know?
I take that time now, though.
Well, it's different. And so I guess we could discuss the person you are currently as we progress there.
Sure. So we going back.
Well, again, the seeds.
Right. I spent 31 years being that version of myself.
And you know what? There's people who will never grow past the previous version. And
100%.
so I need them to be able to find strength through your narrative.
I understand.
Right? Because it took you carrying literally not just this world, you had a lot of different worlds on your shoulders. You know, like I stepped back often in the midst of your circle and said to myself, I don't know if he's enjoying this.
9 out of 10, I wasn't.
But it sucks because the same way I wouldn't tell Joe Schmo to go to his 9 to 5 if he doesn't like it. It's like, do you tell your man that? But the difference is your man's name is on the side of a marquee with the sold out under it, and there's 10 more cities to go. I don't even know if you want it though, bro.
Want what?
Like, what version of your life do you actually want? Do you
I want the version I have now.
Why? How did you get to the point where this version of your life became the desirable version of your life when it wasn't for so long?
Because the thing is, you know, when you have been in the industry for as long as I've been in it. So I've been in the industry since I was 17, right? So being in the industry and then being a father from 19, right? I didn't have the time to develop and figure out what I like doing on my own. You know, the industry is it's a now moment type of thing with people, right? So they'll give you all this gratification as long as you're producing in the moment.
Right.
And what happens is you get this gratification high, is what I like to call it, right? Now and before when I started, there was no social media. But now there is, and a lot of people are going through that now where they're slaves to the like button, right? Same concept, just a different era. So as a young kid, I was chasing gratification from other people. And in that, what happens is I became who they needed me to be so I can feel that high no matter what. And what happens is when I'm such a young kid and I'm so committed to my craft and doing what I'm doing musically, that trickles down to who I am personally.
Right.
So I became a human being that was a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And in being a people pleaser, you don't know who you are as a person, right? So I spent longer than a decade, pleasing people, not even knowing it. Everything I realized last year that when everything that happened, you know, when everything happened with me, I was married and I got divorced, right? We're gonna keep it authentic for we-thousand. Was married, got divorced, right? And going through the divorce, that's when the music stopped. That's when everything literally stopped for me.
So to speak,
Yeah. I had to look at, why did I get married? You know, like, why did I do that? That's one. Two, then I started kind of breaking things down and looking at everything, like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And when you're stuck in that moment of why, and you don't have answers.
Yeah.
And the first thing we do as people is we shame ourselves, right? We just shame ourselves and we're hard on ourselves. And that's how depression sets in. I stayed there for about a week, I remember.
In a state of depression?
Yeah. And then I knew I had to get into action, right? So I had all these questions and I needed answers. So I literally stopped doing everything. I had to go on tour in December, right? So I had 3 months to get my shit together. And I did intensive work on myself with life coaches. I did intensive reading, and it transformed me as a person. Like, I learned the value of life, one. I learned the purpose and meaning of life. And I had the opportunity to create the version of me that's here now. And I learned how to do away with the past, right? So I can go on, you know me, I can go on for days about all this work that I've been doing. I can go on forever about it. But the key thing is that I now know the game of life. And the thing is that, and then what happens is once you learn the game of life, you go back and look at all your relationships, you look at relationships with friends, you look at relationships with your parents, you look at anger you're holding on to, and you realize that nothing happened to you. You know, nothing happened to you. Everything happened for you, you know, because life happens for you, right? So I had to learn that. And then I had to literally forgive every person, everybody I was blaming for how I had to own it. The good and bad, I had to own it, because this is the thing, man. I learned that no one, from after we get out of high school, right? It's like you're an adult, go to college, figure that shit out.
Right.
And then we start looking at everybody. We start looking at different people and saying, you know what, I'm gonna take a bit of him, I'm gonna take a bit of him. You know, as men, we have a feminine side. So like, I'm gonna take a bit of her, and then I'm gonna put that all into a pot and make me. This is who I am. And the problem is that we're identifying and following people who are only broadcasting their perfections. And then we become this imperfect perfection version of ourselves that's not authentic. It's not even real, but we play this game for a very long time, and that makes up who we are. And the problem with that, the biggest problem, well, let's not say problem, the issue with that is that everybody's fucked up. Everybody's dysfunctional. No one comes from a functional environment. Not even our parents, no one, not even the thing is, who we are versions of what was passed down to us, the influence of who we are, right? Because no one has gotten the game of life. We were taught how to read, write, history, math, taught all that shit. But we weren't taught how to be human beings. We weren't taught how to just be. We weren't taught that shit.
Why?
Because
it's easy to say.
Knows, whoever knows why, bro.
Hold up. It's the middle button. I'm inclined to believe that we weren't taught it because it wasn't part of survival, right? Like, we were taught the things that were necessary for us to get from Monday to Tuesday on a surface level. And on a meta level, it's like, yeah, you could learn to be your authentic self, but I really need you to go and get this job so that you can pay.
But where did that come from?
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're literally we're derivatives of something.
No matter what race, color, religion you are, it doesn't, it does not matter. The dysfunction in human beings, no matter what color you are, has been passed down from generation to generation. You take rich kids, for instance, right? They have a version of dysfunction. You know, statistically, a lot of rich kids and these trust fund babies are fucking drug addicts, and they commit suicide, right? Because of a certain level of dysfunction. African Americans, right? We grew up in poverty, so our thing is we just want, right? Which leads us to never be happy. We never settle because we want more. It's that mentality, right? No one was taught the game of life, and we were taught that based on what our parents were taught by their parents, who came from a dysfunctional environment, and it goes back and back and back. So me learning and understanding the game of life last year and really diving into it head first, hands first, everything, putting my all into that has transformed the version I am today. Because you realize that the past is what it is. It doesn't matter anymore, right? It's done. We can't do nothing about the past. It is what it is. It helps me to stay present, right? So I used to be stressed out because I was living in the future, right? It's a fact. If you have stress, it's because you're focused on the future, right? If you're depressed, you're living in the past. When you're at peace, it's because you're in the present. You're in the present moment. And it's like, my thing was, how do I stay here? Like, how can I stay present? And I learned little tips and tricks on how to stay present. And breakdowns happen. You know, you'll have fucked up days, right? But I learned how to get myself out of those fucked up days and bring myself back to present.